being with me today. One of the things I want to talk about today is religion and sport. Now, this has come under some sort of scrutiny over the last week as a result of Andrew Thornburn resigning from the Essendon Football Club because of his beliefs, or at least what he has said in the past around homosexuality and abortions and a whole host of other things that perhaps some of us may disagree with. What has happened or transpired is that a person who has a specific religious view and that view may be in contrast or conflicting with a governing body's or an organisation's view, such as the Essendon Football Club or any sporting club, in fact, or any organisation that presents itself to the community as being the arbiter of a certain set of values. When that happens, does that mean that that person who has those contradicting views should actually hold a role with that particular body? Now, this is a vexed question. It's open to a lot of debate, and there was some discussion around this on the ABC's Q&A on Thursday night. Worth having a look at, because it did raise the question as to whether a person's beliefs are the same as or are interpreted the same as a behaviour. And that creates an interesting issue for me, because I can hold a certain belief and other people may not even know, for example, that I hold that belief. But if that belief, in fact, becomes a behaviour, then clearly I'm under scrutiny. Now, Andrew Thornburn's beliefs had been known for some time because of a speech he gave back some years ago now, I don't know if it was 2013 or whatever, but certainly arguing that the church that he represents has homophobic beliefs and extreme right-wing attitudes towards issues such as abortion. Now, recently, the Hawthorn Football Club has been under scrutiny because they have acted on certain beliefs around Indigenous people and even abortion, encouraging someone to get an abortion. So these beliefs, do they impact the way we should govern and whether or not we should be judged, particularly on the beliefs? Now, my view is that if someone has espoused a certain set of standards that are contradictory to what the organisation stand for, then they should simply not hold that position. That it's incongruous, that it's conflicting, that it means that an organisation may find themselves under scrutiny as a result of that person's beliefs. Now, an example, for example, to me, is that if an individual within that organisation behaved in a certain way and that should have been reprimanded, or there should be some consequences for that behaviour, the response that the management might have if they hold a certain set of beliefs and the public know of those beliefs may mean that that person is viewed through that filter, even though a decision to reprimand that person may not be appropriate. For example, if a person was Indigenous, for example, and a certain organisation or a certain person in that organisation had racist beliefs, and that something came up or an issue was presented in regard to this person that may not have had anything to do with race, but because someone was seen as being racist, would that mean that the people may interpret the decisions made around that individual as racist? Now, I think that we need to be crystal clear that a person's beliefs does not necessarily mean that they may behave in inappropriate ways. That it is possible that Thornburn may have been able to decipher events and in a different way separate his own beliefs from actions that may need to be taken. But it's about what we perceive. It's about the view others might have of certain decisions a person may make given their belief system. In the case of Hawthorn Football Club, for example, we perhaps didn't know what necessarily the beliefs were of those that said those inappropriate things to people until they acted upon them. And then their beliefs became apparent through their actions. Does this mean then that we need to be careful about either employing people that hold a certain set of beliefs that conflict with our standards? Or are people entitled to have their own views, to have those views, yet at the same time, even though they might be in conflict with an organisation, still act appropriately? Now, I would suggest that in this particular case, that the Essendon Football Club did not do enough in order to vet this man. He had a shaded history with the National Australia Bank, but at the end of the day, they didn't do their due diligence in sorting out who this man was, appointed in this position, and as a result, suffering the consequences. Also, there has been some assertion by one of the media outlets that, in fact, he was on the selection panel for the chief executive job, and somehow he came to be selected. Now, that's suspect even to start with. But I think it's important to look at what he may have said around this subject, and just to raise a few extra, conversation points, I guess, about what this may mean. So Thornburn releases a fresh statement about this incident. Short-lived Essendon Chief Executive Andrew Thornburn says it's a dangerous idea that a religious faith could render someone unsuited to a role after he's spectacularly resigned from the club. He was appointed, he was a boss of National Australia Bank, was appointed to the role on Monday, but was rolled a day later. State and federal politicians have all weighed in on this because it's become a big deal. That his position at the Conservative Church that had sermons likened abortion rates to the Holocaust and urging same-sex attraction people to remain celibate on its website. It is troubling that faith or association with a church, mosque, synagogue or temple could render a person immediately unsuited to hold a particular role, he said in a statement on Wednesday. It is a dangerous idea, one that will only reduce tolerance for others and diversity of thought and participation in our community and workplace, he said. Thornburn also said that freedom of religion, conscious thought and association were explicitly recognised as human rights under Victorian law. Legal experts earlier said Thornburn could have a legal case for religious discrimination. The church's public views were in direct contradiction to the Bombers' values. Outgoing AFL boss Gillan McLaughlin was quizzed about the controversy and said he was not surprised by Thornburn's decision. So I guess the issue here is that the issue is that it's a conflict, and that at some point it is best to avoid those sorts of potential conflicts where we can. And to his credit, he did resign. He didn't pursue it at that point, but he could take it to a court to have this ruled as a discriminatory action. Now, I would think that would be unfortunate because it makes him look petty. And secondly, he probably shouldn't have had the job in the first place, and Essendon board need to look at themselves and think, why in the hell did we do this? Now, what do you think? If you'd like to post a comment below about religion and sport, please do so. Let me know your views, and please remember to subscribe to my page, to my YouTube channel, and to make comments below, and ring the bell for further notifications. Thanks everybody for being with me. Take care, look after yourselves, and be safe.